Which brand has lost you as a customer? Allstate. I was at fault in an auto accident. I was distracted thinking about a friend who was near death and rear-ended someone. No injuries, but my truck did a lot of damage to the other car. The young man who owned it was very nice. I felt awful, especially when it was clear his car was not drivable and possibly rotted. I assured him I was well insured and called my agent to verify he would get a rental until the claim was settled. I told the police and the apostate claims debt it was 100% my fault. I felt certain the young man would be taken care of. Wrong. About 6 weeks later he called me. He said he hated to bother me, but Allstate was being very difficult. He only had the rental for a week, but they waited 3 weeks to inspect his car and make him an offer. They said he was partially responsible, so they were only going to give him half the value of his car, which was totaled. He couldn't begin to get a comparable replacements for what he was offered. I spent a week arguing with the claim debt with no results. He tried to file with his carrier for underinsured motorist coverage, but my limit of liability is $250,000, so I am not underinsured. My husband and I paid him a fair amount for his car plus $1,000 for all the hassle, and then cancelled every line of business we had with apostate. Auto, home, boat, motorcycle, and commercial. Our annual premiums are over $30,000. And State Farm has our business now. But I am still furious at how they treated this kid. If we weren't fortunate enough to have taken care of this out of pocket, this gut would have been royally screwed. Great young man with a wife and baby, working to become a licensed electrician. Just theme type of person you want to shit on, right? Comcast. Despite their shitty service, I was willing to re-up with them if they would keep the initial rate I had been paying the previous 2 years. They declined, and when asked if they wanted some of my money or none of my money, they boldly told me that none of my money was the best option for them. Normal businesses can't survive with that kind of disrespect and disregard for their customers. They are 100% a monopoly. I live in a Google Fiber area where you can come and watch Comcast act like decent human beings. Out of pure survival instinct, they tripled my internet speeds and doubled my channels, all premium channels, while cutting my bill 40% a month. Logan Sauce Roadhouse. Went to one a decade ago and got a buffalo chicken sandwich. It was raw in the middle. I told the server and her response was see. It's us, usually a safer bet to get the chicken strips. Left right then and haven't sod one sod go back. Something similar happened to me at a food truck in New York City. I got chicken kebabs that were raw in the middle. Went back and told them. Their response was, you should have asked for the chicken well done then. That's not how chicken works. DirecTV. Got diagnosed with leukemia. They spent the first month figuring out how to fire me. Second month they insisted they never received any documentation from my physician, even when I was on the phone with a nursing assistant as she faxed the information to them. Walked into the office one day. They gave me a box and walked me out because I hadn't provided the necessary documentation within 30 days. Double quote. Fuck DirecTV. Sprint. My first cell phone was Sprint. Had them for years. Then they decided to charge me twice a month for one phone. Called to get it fixed. And nothing. I switched to AT&T and we cancelled Sprint. Kept same number though. Sprint kept charging me after cancelling and tried to sue me for not paying, even though I had record of the cancellation. Got them to drop those charges, but then sued me for not paying the late fees for those payments I didn't pay after I cancelled. Dropped Sprint about 8-10 years ago. Because they charged me extra because I went over on data. They claimed I sent a file, a picture, that was 30 gigabytes. The rep on the phone kept trying to tell me that. No. I was confused. Gigabytes are smaller than megabytes. I was nowhere near going over on data. Thrifty car rental. Got a car with problems I noticed on my drive from the airport. At the same time my dad was in hospice and they weren't sure how long he would be alive. Thrifty wouldn't do anything to help me. Told me to return the car and exchange it. and they would charge me for the pleasure. I tried to explain my situation. Airport was 2 hours away. Dad's dying. Can I have AAA tow it back to them or something? No. I ended up renting a second car in my hometown while he was dying and paid for the full 2 weeks renting one car that worked and one from Thrifty. Complained to corporate and their response was basically, maybe you shouldn't have prioritized your dad's dying over a rental car. Fuck Thrifty. Best Buy. After a decade of loyal service and promotions and a clear desire to move up in the company, they laid off my husband in the middle of a fucking Saturday. He just came into my office and kept repeating, they just fired me. They just laid me off. I don't have a job. Double quote. It all came out that they were spying on how good technicians performed and then outsourced all their jobs. They kept on a few people to train a new group, but all of them made immediate exit strategies. It was so cold and callous. I can't even fathom stepping into one of their stores again. We booked an apartment in San Diego that ended up being completely disgusting and in a terrible part of town. It was advertised as safe for babies, kids, and it was absolutely not the case. Especially not for our 2-year-old. We called Airbnb to complain and ask them to help us find another place for us to stay. Without telling us, they cancelled our reservation in the middle of the night while we were sleeping. At 1 AM we hear someone trying to gain entry into the apartment and we were absolutely freaking out thinking that someone was trying to break in. Turns out it was the owner. He was told that we had cancelled and that we had left already and he was here to clean up. We called Airbnb again and they told us we had to vacate the property immediately and had no right to stay there. Even though we didn't cancel the reservation or ask to cancel it. They offered no apology and justified their behavior by stating that it was for the safety of our child so that they cancel our reservation. And force us to have to relocate to another hotel with a screaming toddler at 3 AM. All while in shock from the ridiculous situation that they put us in. We were lucky that they refunded us in full and using Hotel Tonight. We were able to quickly find another hotel that same night. And it ended up being really great. I will never, ever use Airbnb again. Fuck them. Home Depot. At least for appliances. My landlord ordered a new dishwasher for our apartment. I have to be at home to receive the delivery on each of the following days. Work days, of course. First day. Apparently they can't find the loading dock for the condo. Second day. They show up far too late and the service elevator is closed. Third day. They bring it up but tell me they can't install it unless we call someone else to remove an aluminum plate for them. After they leave I take a look and the plate just snaps off effortlessly. They can't be called back. They have to be rescheduled for another day. The dishwasher is left in the living room. Fourth day the dispatcher confirms they are scheduled to arrive. They never arrive. They never call. Fifth day. Let's see what happens. Also EA. Obviously. Kroger. Every time they adjust their stores, the aisles get narrower and their selection gets thinner. But they also carry less of each item. I used to be able to stock up on a month's worth of cat food with a good variety. Now I struggle to get 2 weeks worth. On top of that, the shelves aren't spaced apart very far. So my fingers keep getting pinched trying to get the cans out. And what kind of grocery store runs out of fucking paper towels? And chips? How do you run out of Cool Ranch Doritos? Oh. That's right. You only stock half of what you used to. They used to have fantastic butchers. But now everything is pre-packaged and sent to the store off-site. So if they are out of short rib, which, guess what? They always are because they don't stock enough, you're shit out of luck. Once they added the click list? Fucking done. The picker carts are longer and wider than normal carts. It's already a struggle to get 2 carts past each other. The picker carts make it impossible to get by them. I went to Meijer for the first time in my life last week and instantly Kroger lost my loyalty. Wider aisles, seriously. 3 carts were able to fit in one aisle, and an on-site butcher. They didn't have short rib out. So the guy went back and cut me some right then and there. Hyundai. Had a sunroof grenade due to what has recently come out to be a design flaw. The fighting I had to do to get it serviced and the way they treated me as a customer, making up bullshit excuse after bullshit excuse, including an engineer from Korea who flew in and pieced together my sunroof which was bullshit as its tempered glass and shatters into tiny fragments and a massive amount of them were in my bag 100 miles away. Volkswagen. I stupidly bought one of their overpriced, overly complex and over-engineered cars because they told me the pricey aftermarket warranty would cover anything at all that went wrong with the thing. Oh wait. Except that overly complicated folding hardtop convertible roof that has 632 moving parts. Oh, you want a loaner? Better beg, because we don't normally do that for our customers. Oh, that cell that keeps coming on? That's normal. Those 5 other problems? That's normal. In fact, why are you even talking to us mighty service gods anyway? Pune? We're above you and we'll make that clear in every interaction where we can barely withhold our contempt. Give us large amounts of money and we might deign to fix your car. Or not. And this is before you factor in the cheating diesel scandals and corporate malfeasance. I will never purchase another VW product in my life. DeWalt. I got a drill with a 3-year warranty as a wedding gift. 14 months of barely using it and the chuck broke. No big deal. I'll get it repaired. The local repair center tells me that the chuck is considered a wear item and not covered under warranty. I call the national number and they tell me whatever the repair center says goes. $55 repair on a $99 drill. It wasn't enough money to warrant doing anything beyond leaving bad reviews on every site I could find. Fuck companies that don't honor their warranties. I won't ever buy another piece of Microsoft hardware after a debacle with my Xbox 360. See? When the first generation of 360s were coming out, Microsoft used 3 different disk drives. Fast forward you may have 2011. And Microsoft release a firmware update for the disk drives to accommodate their new storage format on game disks. XGD3. Well, one of the 3 disk drives wouldn't accept the update, meaning that any games released in the XGD3 format would be unplayable. They used Xbox Live to identify the affected consoles and reached out to the owners, offering a brand new Xbox 360s and a year of live. Unfortunately for me, I hadn't had my Xbox connected to Live since the very beginning of 2011. It wasn't until Halo 4 was released in November of 2012 that I bought a new game more connected to Live. I had pre-ordered the game, waited at the midnight premiere, and everything. I couldn't play it. After some sleuthing around, I discovered this hardware issue. I visually identified that my 360 did in fact have the disk drive in question. I called up Microsoft and spent 3 days trying to get them to make good on their word and replace my Xbox. They vehemently refused, stating that all of the affected boxes had been identified and replaced. Double quote. Never again will I buy their hardware. Virgin Media in the UK. I've never been a customer of theirs, but since 2015 they have sent me over 1,500 letters asking me to join them and giving me offers. Let me say that again. That's 1,500 letters since 2015. I am getting more than 1 letter a day on average cold advertising me to join. I have told them 16 times in this period to take me off their mailing lists and not to contact me. They tell me each time we will take you off our mailing lists. It will take 6 weeks. And yet nothing changes. I've asked them for a copy of the info they have on me and how they got it. Both legal requirements. However, they refuse to give me that info, instead telling me I have to log into my account to make a complaint. I have no account as I'm not a customer. Or to email certain addresses, which never get replies. I've now told them I will be making a formal complaint with the ICO if they don't sort this out in the next few days. But all they have done yet again is link me to their opt-out system that doesn't work, and tell me I must have filled in a form saying I wanted to be contacted. If they were the only company going in the UK, they wouldn't get my money. Total pricks. Wells Fargo. I deposited $10,000 with them in a savings account. I didn't need the money, so I just left it in there. Every year for 3 years I got an interest statement from them for income tax filing. The 4th year I didn't get one. I called them and they said I could get it online and print it out. My account was nowhere to be found. Went to the WF branch and they started making all kinds of phone calls. Finally the manager came out and said the main office thought I forfeited the money. That was their word, forfeited. They put the money back in my account and I took it all out. Then I contacted the banking commission. They said, "Did you get your money back?" And I said yes. So they said there was really no problem to confront the bank with it since they settled this already. But I thought, how many people do they do this to? How many family members don't know if a loved one that dies and has money in the bank just gets their money forfeited? Allstate. I had their car insurance for almost 10 years. I decided to check out their competition like State Farm and got really competitive rates. When I went back to Allstate for quotes in hopes they would lower my rates, they told me 1. I was lying because they found it hard to believe their competitors had lower rates. 2. It's a pain to switch insurances. 3. They dug up one speeding ticket I had 2 years back and told me that I was high risk and justified that for the higher rate increase. I tried to give them a chance and they didn't take me seriously. I have been a State Farm customer ever since. Southwest Airlines. The return flight on my honeymoon was cancelled a couple hours before takeoff. 1. 300 miles from home. We got told we had 2 options. Get a refund to buy tickets elsewhere. It will take 30-60 days to get your refund, or wait 2 days for the next flight. When we explained neither one of those options would work, since we had to be back that morning for work, and even offering other solutions like flying into a different city, we get told to pick one of the 2 aforementioned options in the next 60 seconds, or they will disconnect the call. As we are trying to offer up any other solution, they hang up on us. When we wrote a letter to complain, they defended the rep. HTC. I own the Vive, and I absolutely love every minute of it. I've wanted something like VR ever since I was a kid. I ordered my Vive, and I was the most excited I think I've ever been in my life, waiting for it to come in. It came. I unboxed everything as fast as I could, set everything up, which was painstakingly long, and alas, one of the tracking stations wasn't turning on. I troubleshooted for about 20 minutes before I figured out that the problem was that an AC adapter for the wall outlet came DOA. Not a big deal at all. Emailed HTC customer support and told them about the issue. They wanted me to pay for shipping for their DOA product. That's not the worst part. They wanted me to spend $40 in shipping. They tried to make me get next day shipping, or they wouldn't take it back. So I just drove my angry ass down to Walmart and picked one up for $5. Verizon. Got my first phone from them while I was in the military, and everything seemed fine enough, until I started seeing more promotions about service plans better than what I had for less and less money. This was back in 2006. Was $70 for unlimited text and something free minutes after some time frame. I asked them if I could cancel and re-up under a fresher plan. They said no. I looked towards Sprint and their identical plan to mine was $10 more expensive. So I stuck around with Verizon. Over the next 8 months, my bills were increasing little by little with very vague descriptions in the statements. I called and was told it was just standard protocol and they basically chalked it up to inflation. Well, my bill went from $70 to around $95. Not that I noticed the amount right off the bat because autopay. And I finally had enough and kept heckling them about it. 3 hours of being on hold and speaking with customer support and I find out that the trial version for a number of games that I downloaded through the Verizon store, you could download a trial version and after X time period, you could either pay for recurring subscription or just uninstall it to not incur any fees, magically activated a subscription and renewed each month. I asked if they could see the history of when these games were downloaded by my account. And amusingly enough, the games were never touched within the past year. So somehow games I am on record as having not touched in almost a year started renewing subscriptions I never agreed to. And the customer service thought nothing of it. Told them I demand a refund of all the money those fees took from me or I was suing. Got my refund and gfod. Pizza Hut. This stems from something that happened as a kid with my father. We ordered a pickup one afternoon and we showed up on time, maybe like a minute or two early, but that was fine. My dad goes to say "Hey, sauce here for the pizza," and they say something along the lines of "Sock, just another 5 minutes." So we wait, and about 10 minutes later my dad walks back in to check. The woman tells him it should be done shortly, and then we hear her go in the back and tell someone to put a rush on our pizza, so it had not even been started yet. Both me and my dad are in a huge hurry, so we let it slide and they tell us it will be a couple more minutes. We wait again. 10 minutes later they still haven't started the pizza, and we went through the same exact bullshit as before. They finally start our pizza, and by now we've been there at least 30 minutes or so. They rush our pizza through and we get it finally. We walk back to the car and my dad checks the pizza before we pull out. 100% the wrong pizza we ordered, and 80% from the center out is still raw dough. My dad drive back the door, and with only a father's pissed off strength and accuracy frisbee throws the box at the front door and somehow managed to have the pizza come out and splat perfectly at the top of the glass door and slide down. I'll never forget the look of shock on the woman's face behind the counter. Since then I've never paid any money to a Pizza Hut, nor will I ever. I've had it since then when it's been ordered for parties and such. TLDR. Pizza Hut sucked me and my father around with a pizza. Made us wait for a long time on an order. Gave us the wrong pizza that was mostly still raw dough, and my father has a superpower when it comes to throwing pizzas from a moving car. La Fitness. Had used their gym for years because they were affordable and had locations all over the place. Started having money issues, so had to cancel. At the same time I cancelled, I happened to accidentally lose the credit card they had on file and was getting it replaced. They kept calling and trying to charge the old one after I had cancelled with them. They kept asking for new card information. They kept leaving messages about needing the info and I still owed, and they were sending to collections. Kept having to remind them I cancelled and told credit card company charges from them were not authorized. Basically ended up ignoring their calls, and that ended it. Never got any collections from them and stopped getting calls when they realized they weren't getting my money. How Comcast I sought the majority of answers on this post. I'll never get. They were absolutely horrendous. Raised my bill every month for 3 years. And every month I called and complained and had to revert to my original price. I was told each and every single time this will be my price for 2 years. And without fail. Every month it was jacked up. And not by $1 or $2. It was raised $40-50. They refused to give me an itemized bill. Or even give a logical explanation why it was increased. Multiple times I was told I'd receive a $200 Visa gift card for my troubles. Not one ever came. When I finally told them I'm cancelling my account, they gave me a special number to contact for customers who have had problems like this. The next month my bill went from $60 to $240. I called that number. They tried to get me to only pay $140. I refused and said I will pay the $60 it's supposed to be, and I'm cancelling the service for good. 1. Why the hell do you think I'd be okay with still paying $80 higher than I should? 2. Why the hell do you have a phone number for customer service for special people? Comcast is the absolute worst company I've ever dealt with on anything. Friendly's. It's a chain of ice cream shops restaurants. It was the day before my 18th birthday. Senior year in high school. I was allowed to leave early that year due to not needing a full schedule to graduate. I have a sore throat. So I left and went to Friendly's to get some ice cream to hopefully alleviate the discomfort. I went inside. Ordered. And took my ice cream to go. By this point my current girlfriend had gotten out of class and decided to meet me there. I go and sit in my car. Eating my ice cream and waiting on her. She arrives. And we go back and order her something. I'm starting to feel worse, so we decide to go back to my car to enjoy the treats. We're there maybe 10 minutes. talking and eating when the owner comes outside and rudely informs us that we have to leave. I ask why and he informs me that Friendly's is a family establishment and that he can't have us there. Meanwhile we're clearly eating what we just purchased. We said we were just finishing up our ice creams and we'd be on our way and he really told us we had to leave now or he'd call the police. So we complied and left. I could see this reaction if we were up to no good. But my then girlfriend and I were both honor roll students. Clean cut. And not causing any issues. We were literally parked in an ice cream store's parking lot eating said ice cream. I left there. Spent the next 3 days deathly ill with the flu. And never returned to Friendly's. I even skipped our senior breakfast because I refused to patronize the establishment. That location has since closed. Boa. When I was, for lack of a better term, dying in the hospital, my wife needed to get control of my accounts so we could keep our bills paid. They gave her all the paperwork that needed to be filled out. I signed over POA and everything seemed like it was going to be smooth. She takes all the paperwork into the branch and was still not given access to my accounts because the teller did not believe she was my wife, different last names. It took her multiple visits, phone calls before finally getting access. When I got out of the hospital I went in to pull my money and close my accounts. I was told that I'm not making the right financial decisions for my life and delayed cashing me out while they wait for manager approval. A month later I get a statement in the mail showing that my account is not only still active but now overdrawn due to missed bank fees. They had no record of me requesting the account be closed. Fuck that bank. Bank of America. In college my bank account was usually pretty low because my parents would give me a weekly allowance. Then one time I had only $5-6 for about a week. So Bank of America charged me $10 for having insufficient funds, even though that had never happened before in my checking account. Literally the next day they charged me an additional $25 for overdrafting. So I went from having $5 to being negative $30 in about 24 hours. It makes no sense. They were the ones who overdrafted me in the first place. This is a great example of banks punishing you for being poor. Bank of America just today. I had a 0% APR credit card. The 0% bit ended. Which is normal whatever. I did a balance transfer of what was left on that card to a new 0% APR card. I saw in my account I had a $0 balance. 1 week later I get charged an interest fee on the balance transfer, something a SOV never had a credit card do. Then an interest fee on that aforementioned interest fee. And somehow there's also $220 also on the account I have to pay off, but there's no reason given for what that sauce therefore and it's not listed in my balance. Just when I go to make a payment. Worst bank ever. Edit. Just to add to this for clarity. I called them 3 times hoping to get an explanation I could understand for the charges. Each time they just said it was standard procedure when a promotion ends and elaborated with comparing it to a savings account accruing interest. Never once explaining where that $220 came from. So I filed a BBB complaint. Edit 2. Lot of replies I'll try to get to them. Edit 3. Lots of people with exorbitant fees like me. I highly recommend complaining to all the agencies. Despite all the complaints on here about the BBB, SO've had great outcomes with them in the past, namely the CFPB, OCC, FDIC, and the BBB. Good luck everyone, definitely file your complaints. My main problem with this all is that the BOFA was sued last year by the FDIC for excessive fees. Maybe, shocked, they didn't learn their lesson, keep filing complaints with every agency available. Hardware from Microsoft. Office is still fine. I bought the new Surface tablet in 2017 for uni. Sadly, most of them have a bug which randomly shuts down the Surface. After 1 month I finally contacted my local Microsoft support and they said sure thing. Send it in. We will replace it. 3 weeks later I got my replacement in an unsecured box. The Surface only held at its place through some plastic wrapping. It was broken because there is zero damping material in that box and the no text with careful fragile. The postman was a little uncertain during the transport. I sent it back and got the same broken surface back. Because the damage is not covered by your warranty. 2 days of non-stop phoning, I convinced the support to replace the replacement. Now, 10 weeks after I sent my first surface in, I got a usable surface. It also has the bug like the first, but not that bad. In the end, I got a less broken surface to replace the broken one. It's absolutely stupid. Honda. I paid extra for a hybrid Civic over a regular one. And then one day I got a notice that there was a warranty recall on the car's firmware. I took it into the dealership and they updated it. I then no longer had a hybrid. It turns out that Honda didn't like replacing the hybrid batteries while they were still under warranty. Which was happening in hot climates. I live in such a climate. So they just put out an update to the firmware to not use the hybrid engine anymore. I paid extra for a hybrid only to end up with a 4-cylinder engine and a giant electric paperweight. And Honda thought this was fine. They lost the class action lawsuit. But didn't really care because it cost them less than replacing the batteries under warranty would have. So they gave everybody $100 cash and $100 toward the purchase of a new Honda. No thanks. Subway. The only fast food I was going to. Because the food actually felt balanced compared to the others. Then I saw how they treated their average employees. While covering their mascot. Edit. Okay, apparently the food also suck. Maxxis. A motorcycle store in Europe. Employees did a shit job by ordering the wrong pieces for my bike. And accused me of lying when registering my bike model, who was literally painted on its fairing by the way. He just had to turn his head to check. Also, why would I lie? I'm ordering custom hardware FFS. Then when the piece finally arrived I had to wait 3 hours before the mechanic would even begin to install the piece. Then he spotted an actual flaw, damaged brake fluid container, and have me paid an extra $78 to fix. Then not only the issue was not fixed, but this douche had spilled the fluid on the gauges. Melting part of the plastic, still visible today. Had my buddy fix the issue in 15 minutes. TWC Spectrum. Used their services for 5+ is watching their rates go up and up. While they offer new subscribers outstanding price packages. Tried to negotiate with them and the best they offered were mere pittances. I arranged to change over to Frontier DSL and after I called TWC to cancel my service suddenly they deluge me with offers at the same rates as new subscribers. Too late boys. Maybe I'll call ya in a couple years. GameStop. I used to swear by buying physical copies. So I'd always go to my local GameStop to buy my games. Life started to get busy. So instead of pre-ordering games at the store I'd buy them on the PlayStation Store. The nail in the coffin was just the other week when I went to purchase a pre-owned game and was accidentally charged twice for the game on my debit card. It took 3 phone calls, 2 emails, and a visit to the store before I could get any progress in getting a refund. Just finished my call with customer service and I should finally get a refund within 10 days. But that experience has sealed the deal for me that they will no longer get my business. HP. Used to love their printers. Open box. Plug them in and they just worked. Didn't matter if I was using Windows, Linux, BSD, X, macOS, iOS, Android or whatever. Used them at the office, home, on the road. Recommended then to friends, relatives etc. Had to replace the printer in my truck after 5 years so naturally bought another HP. Only print black and white documents. For some reason the tricolor cartridge needs to be replaced and the printer won't print a black and white document without it. Replace said cartridge. 2 weeks later is telling me to replace it again. Replace printer with a different model. Same thing a few weeks down the road. Bought a brother, for less than the equivalent HP model, and it's been working beautifully for 4 months now. Admittedly brother's app's Android support isn't as polished as HP's. But it works.